Something's been happening in Asia. In Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Nepal, and more, a generation that grew up connected to the rest of the world online is taking to their local streets looking for change. All across Southeast Asia, Gen Z students and citizens have been protesting against corruption, authoritarianism, and economic inequality. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, they messed up. This isn't an Advent video. No, this is the video. Strap in. On September 8, 2025, the wave of change that's been sweeping across Southeast Asia came to Nepal as tens of thousands started protesting around the federal parliament building. You see, the situation in Nepal had been getting worse for years and years. The average wage is just over $1,500 a year, and young people are being forced to choose between unemployment and leaving the country to provide for their families. By the way, approximately 10% of the entire Nepalese population is living and working abroad in generally terrible conditions, and the money that they send home as remittances accounts for 33% of the Nepalese GDP. So Nepal is one of the poorest countries in the world, and the young Nepalese are demanding some change in their future. In the days leading up to the protests, the Nepalese government controversially shut down access to many social media sites. And as all this began to unfold, our church just so happens to have two missionaries living in Nepal. Hey Douglas, Sierra, thanks for being able to sit down and talk with me. What was the feeling in Nepal leading up to the protests?
Yeah, that night, got a message. They're shutting down all social media platforms.
And then we heard a couple of days later, like, oh, hey, you guys just might be mindful. There's going to be protesting tomorrow. The goal is to overthrow the government. Just like in Bangladesh and Indonesia, that's their goal, is like what they've done in other countries. That's the goal of this generation.
But I was just like, Nepali people are too peaceful for this.
As you saw stuff going on when the protests started November 8th, what did you guys experience?
We, woke up that morning, did some praying, heard there was some protests in Kathmandu. Nothing had really happened yet. I had some reason to be out of the house, and I was like, there's trash. And then I drove closer to...
Just like in the middle of the streets, there were like piles of stuff.
Turned out there had already been a protest in our city that morning that they had to break up with tear gas. I have no idea.
I think the thought was just, it's felt pretty calm around here. Is there anything happening in our city?
Yeah.
And you said, well, I saw some rocks in the road.
We're driving down, and then this guy drags a couple tires out in the middle of the highway, lights up on fire. So here comes a mob of police, and they're throwing rocks at each other.
And we're like, here's the guy burning the tires, here's the police, and we're in between, like on the median.
That was you guys were in your car, or you guys were just out walking?
On our scooter.
Yeah.
On our scooter. And I'm like, hey, Doug, like, they're throwing rocks, we should go, get out of here. But I think that moment of the rocks was like the first moment of like, oh, this is like serious everywhere.
So went home, punched in YouTube on our VPN, and started watching how, at this point, they were hosing the kids that were trying to get to the Capitol. Hosing them, shooting them with tear gas, trying to keep them away from the Capitol. And then they made it to the Capitol. And then they started shooting them with guns.
By the end of September 8th, curfew was imposed in most major cities. 19 protesters were reported dead, shot by police in front of the parliament building. They were students, many of them still wearing their school uniforms. At least one was as young as 12. Me
and a friend that lived here in the city, we just talked that morning as the kids were getting shot, and it's such a tragedy.
And then we just kind of went into like intercessory prayer for the next days.
We just shut down. The next morning, I left the house. So I was just out there praying and kind of interceding while they're burning cars and stuff. I had total peace until just one moment I just felt God said, go home.
So by day 2, the prime minister had resigned, had fled the country. The police were totally overtaken. So then the army stepped in. We stood on our roof that night and saw, like, you could see in this direction the huge fire from the supermarket, and then small ones, you could just see smoke kind of in all directions of on our rooftop.
On September 9th, in response to the deaths the previous day, what started out as peaceful demonstrations turned to rioting. In the capital city of Kathmandu, protesters set fire to government buildings, the Nepalese parliament building, the Supreme Court, smaller courts, police stations, central banks, large hotels, party headquarters, the residences of the president and prime minister, and to top it off, the Singha Durbar, the Lion's Palace, which houses offices for the Prime Minister and many high government officials, was overrun and burned. It's hard to overstate how much was destroyed. Imagine if, in Washington, D.C., the White House, Capitol, Supreme Court, and nearly every major federal building were burned in one day.
As like the events kind of started unfolding over the few days, it really feeling like the shaking was happening, something was in the land was going to happen. It felt like, oh, like this is what we've been praying into. And so it didn't throw us off guard. We weren't like, why are we here? We got to get out of the country. It was like, God, you've prepared our hearts. You're not causing this, but you've prepared us to be at peace in the midst of this. The people we worship with weekly, missionaries and some Nepalis who are doing outreach, like
Same peace we had.
Yeah, they all were just at peace. What we found is whenever there was chaos and the rioting and all these things, literally we were standing on our roof watching buildings burn, but to know that there was such a peace in us. It's just a cool moment to say, like, I actually believe this whole thing. Like, this isn't peace. The peace of God isn't contingent on me living in a safe place, or the peace of God isn't contingent on my world or my government being in order. The peace of God is a person living inside of me. And I think I even told Doug one of the nights, like, we actually believe this stuff. Like, Jesus is real. And like, are we good? Because like, you're good, I'm good, we have such peace, we're okay. But I had such hope. This generation of young people are literally willing to risk their life for the causes that they believe in. And it was like the first thing I have seen that I feel like everything we've been like declaring about the youth in this country, they're willing to actually do it. So it made me so hopeful of like, when they get Jesus, the passion they're gonna walk in and the zeal.
Everybody is looking for the Savior. Everybody is. They just don't know it. But this time in this country is more than ever. None of them are trying to lead. They're just, give us a leader who loves us. And that's the perfect time, and that's the perfect humility for the Lord to come in and just show his face. So we have so much faith that this move of God that you're seeing, it's time for Nepal, and from there it's time for Asia. It's finally time for countries surrounding us too.